Chapter 13. Post-Mortem. Rourke took stock of the remainder of his men as they arranged themselves in various firing positions covering the elevator's entrance. The squad leader opted to stand where he was, in the epicenter of the hangar, with his hostage knelt in front of him. Her nervous eyes tracked the flechette cartridges he was thumbing into his gun's receiver. He had performed the reload plenty of times. His preferred technique, one he had spent years mastering, allowed him to palm 4 cartridges at once, a full reload in under a second for a scattergun with an 8-round capacity. He was unmoored, not in his element. He needed the grounding sensation of methodical action. 1 cartridge, then another, then another. The steel rhythm of it steadied his heart, controlled the adrenaline, suppressed the itch in his trigger finger. Rourke lovingly thumbed the last cartridge into his flechette gun and pumped a round into the chamber, his hostage flinching at the crunch-crunch sound. He glanced down at his captive, the purple-furred Cyrenian woman Misha. A brief impulse flared in his mind. Just kill her. Quick. Easy. One less variable. He stuffed the thought deep into the mental wastebasket where it belonged. She had value. For now, at least. His men had arranged themselves into 2 groups per his instructions. The first 4 were stacked at either end of the entrance, ready to swoop in to snatch the patient as soon as he emerged. The remaining 3 were positioned in a firing line, the lead man, a muscular Venomian named Jax, wielding a quad-barreled Gatling laser. If all else failed, the heavy gunner would burn Alex to a crisp. He was guaranteed his prize, dead or alive.
What's the gist over the airways?
Rourke said over his mic to Carno, his communications expert. The Fortunian feline who was flanking Jax's left hissed in amusement.
Beacon is active and is still transmitting. Comms traffic is Cyrenian ships responding to the message loop. The quarantine has them spooked enough that they're maintaining quite a distance.
What about our extraction window?
Rourke prompted.
The building is surrounded, but they're keeping skies above clear, and any traffic is being diverted. We have approximately 30 minutes before they close in. The Venomian cruiser is still cloaked and on standby for rendezvous.
Fine. It'll have to do.
Rourke said, then more loudly to his other men.
All right, people. He's got only one way out of here and no cover between us. If he puts up a fuss, we'll fry him.
The rest of his team acknowledged the order with a double click of their mics. All except Jax.
We should just take off and bomb the freak from orbit,
the Venomian said in his usual guttural tone.
The bonus to bring him back alive is incentive enough, Jax,
Rourke said. Jax gave a subtle shrug of his massive shoulders.
It's money that's now split 8 ways, instead of 16. Either way, the payout's gone up dead or alive.
Either way, we'll get our money and revenge for the men he's killed. But I'll leave the decision to you. It's your kill box.
His heavy gunner thumbed a switch next to the weapon's trigger, causing the quad barrel to spool menacingly.
Better it be me then. Someone else might miss. He's got nowhere to hide.
They all settled in, 6 rifles and a mini cannon trained on the designated kill box. An uneasy silence fell over the space, broken up by the faint hum of the parked freighter's engines. The ship hangar was tall and enclosed. Every 30 or so seconds, a gust of wind would blow. causing a deposit of roof water to spill loudly onto the painted concrete inside the hangar entrance. He could tell Jax was restless. The brute fidgeted, flexed his shoulders, and pawed the ground with the tank-like tread of his boots. He was on edge, they all were, and it was due to more than taking a contract on an uncharted world and dressed in the uniform of their sworn enemy. Rourke himself had been a veteran of the Lilat War. Being a natural-born native of Katina, had eventually funneled himself into the Cornerian military, and by its aftermath, his career had rebounded into the growing enterprise of the Sargasso mercenary outfits. He had walked and flown over every square inch of the Lilat system, both hospitable and desolate performing jobs, ranging from simple security to assassination, be it petty or political. He supposed it was a compliment in a way that even in the peacetime, one of the most marketable and profitable skills in Lilatian society was the ability to kill discreetly. This particular assignment wasn't too out of the norm, and he had been equipped with enough guns, men, and info that they should have been prepared adequately for any eventuality. After all, their target was a sleepy, malnourished, unwitting drifter who was already injured from his previous crash, and with the guise of their uniforms, their unwitting prey would have gone along with them into their ship, being none the wiser. He should have known better. He should have known that there would be a catch, but he never would have guessed that catch would end up wiping out half his men. He had recovered quickly and tactfully the dominant playing field, but that little Venomian monkey of anxiety in his head was yelling at him to turn tail and run. The 5-minute countdown he had set in his HUD's clock crept past minute 2. 1:59, 1:58, 1:57. Another gust of wind and a long string of water droplets bombarded the concrete. It sounded like a bag bleeding marbles.
Come on.
1:30, 1:29, 1:28.
Show yourself, you smoothed skin freak.
Minute 1, 59. Jack said a similar phrase, but with a few more colorful expletives. 30, 29, 28. Someone's eye twitched. 15, 14. The right rearmost elevator panel flashed on with a blue hue. They all hesitated a fraction. Their nerves were wound a few notches too tight, and even Rourke took a second before ordering his men to advance forward. The 4-man team crept to the gleaming metallic doors, halting a safe distance in case their quarry was dumb enough to charge them when they opened. They all leveled their rifles while the pointman, a gray-haired Fishinian named Anders, switched to his sidearm, his other hand retrieving a pair of stun cuffs. Their fingers curled around the triggers of their weapons. But when the doors opened, they were greeted with a peculiar sight. Laying sprawled face down in the compartment of the elevator was the blaster-scarred body of one of their compatriots. A heavy stream of smoke was leaking out of his suit and rapidly clouding the space beyond in a gray haze. Anders gave a hand signal, and the other 3 men formed a loose circle, shielding him as he knelt to examine the body. As he rolled the corpse over, a small metallic object clinked across the floor. Something round, familiar. A smoke grenade. Its pin, ominously distant, glinted beneath the haze. Pulled by accident, or a lure for us to find, the canine wondered. He continued his inspection, ignoring the twirling column of smoke. His helmet was equipped with a filter adequate enough that the pollution wouldn't inhibit his breathing. There was nothing else, no other discarded equipment, or evidence that the body was booby-trapped. His leg suddenly jolted, one of his men giving his foot a grazing kick to his boot sole, signaling for attention. Anders sprang back to his feet and saw past the growing smoke the elevator lift opposite them was humming. Anders gave a predatory grin. It was clear to him now that their quarry had made a poor attempt at a distraction, and now was going to attempt a clumsy ambush in the second elevator. Maybe if he had timed it better, it might have worked. Might. The elevator doors were slow and loud enough that they would have a hell of a jump on him. He couldn't help but chuckle. The dumbass was going to arrive on the 6th floor and be gunned down as soon as the doors parted. His expectations were subverted again when the door opened, only to reveal an empty compartment.
The fuck is he playing at?
Anders growled, now annoyed. He turned on his heel to regroup with the rest of the men in the hangar, then stopped mid-step. The elevator doors closest to the hangar had opened, and both were pouring a continuous curtain of smoke, like a show was about to begin. He could see the 3 armed men covering their rear shift uncertainly for a few seconds before the smoke obscured them completely. He was just about to give the order to retreat when he sensed something drop to the floor behind him. Without hesitation, he spun fast, shoving his barrel out in front of him at the man who he knew was there. He wasn't quite sure what had happened next. His rifle was ripped from his hands before he had the chance to fire, and then he was staring down the barrel of his own gun. Strange, bloody hands now gripped his confiscated weapon. The gun went off. For a split second, Anders saw his killer's face, his cold blue eyes partially obscured by bloody strands of black hair. Then the bolt passed his suit's glass visor, burning away his worries, along with most of his cranial vault.